Welcome back to 2CTV, your global news channel. We come to you guys with some breaking news coming from the Middle East as the United States and Israel have sent their final ultimatum to the leaders in Gaza to fully disarm, as over the last few hours more members of Hamas, the terrorist organization, have surrendered to the IDF. This update has also now been confirmed by the White House and Channel 12 of Israel. We're going to bring you guys all the evidence, all the facts of what's actually happening on the ground. The mainstream media seems to be behind this as usual. But let's talk about what we know. And also in this live stream as we speak, it's Saturday evening, which means that there is a protest in Tel Aviv, which we do have the live feed from there as well. As you can see, the protesters have blocked one of the main roads near the hostage square. We'll get back to that shortly. But let's talk about what the United States is now preparing to do. The plan that was outlined by President Donald J. Trump a few months ago is still on the table. Yes, Channel 12 confirmed that the final ultimatum has now been sent to the leaders in Gaza to disarm and release all the hostages. The president has now ordered the Pentagon to be ready for the United States to go into Gaza to take control of the area in order to rebuild it. They do have the green light from the Israelis. The plan seems to be that the IDF will have to go in first to completely dismantle Hamas. This is a plan that should have been done about a year and a half ago, by the way. But now that most of the tunnel networks has now been blocked and split into different sections, this is why a number of them have now surrendered. They are now cutting off all access. The plan is now to, until now, obviously, the hostages were being used as leverage. And that's why the IDF had to be very careful. This whole operation in Gaza has been taking ages because of the hostages, that they don't want to accidentally kill them. But also the booby traps across Gaza, especially in the tunnel networks. It's made the whole operation very, very difficult and complicated. But we're getting close to the end of this, and the IDF obviously have been told by both President Trump and Netanyahu to now be ready to completely, essentially annex part of Gaza, but also make sure every single senior leader of Hamas has been taken out. Now, another group, a large number of Hamas terrorists have decided to come up from their tunnels. This was near, under Beit Hanun in Gaza. They came out, they waved their white flags, and they surrendered. The main reason for this is because they were completely stuck in the tunnel networks, because all the tunnel near it, they were all blocked. They couldn't really go anywhere else. They have now been captured by the Israeli Defense Forces, and reportedly they will be helping the IDF and Mossad to identify the remaining members of Hamas in Gaza. So this is a huge accomplishment in terms of the steps towards the ending this conflict in Gaza. Having said that, the United States is also putting a lot of pressure on the Palestinian Authority, because if the United States, if the US troops will have to go into Gaza, for example, to stay there, to monitor everything after the conflict. So the US troops are not going to be sent to Gaza to finish off Hamas. That's the job of the IDF. The United States will go in to basically monitor, to sort out the humanitarian aid, and to ensure everything's fine, to rebuild it. That's the plan. If that's still going to be happening, according to the White House, that's still the plan. Explains why the United States of America just placed more sanctions on officials from the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, as well as the PA, Palestinian Authority, and Mahmoud Abbas and his team for supporting terrorism. The reason for this is that, of course, the Palestinian Authority is in charge of Judea and Samaria, part of it, the West Bank, different to Gaza. Gaza was controlled by Hamas. If they're going to sort out Gaza, they also have to put pressure on Mahmoud Abbas and the West Bank Palestinian Authority, because somebody needs to take control of Gaza long term. There is already an arrangement. UAE, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and those countries, with the help of the Palestinian authorities, will have to eventually take control of Gaza. Before that, the IDF will have to dismantle the whole thing, and then the United States will have to go in to monitor, and then this will have to happen. That's why the US is putting more pressure on the Palestinian Authority, on Mahmoud Abbas, to tell him, this is going to happen. You guys need to clean up your own mess in the West Bank. Because we can't let you guys take over if you still have a bunch of terrorists, essentially, advising you. Now, Mahmoud Abbas says, at least we're not Hamas. We have got nothing to do with them. Yes, but you still have a lot of weirdo Islamic Jihad nutters in Judea and Samaria. Meanwhile, Hamas members who are still hiding in the tunnels are well fed, and they are actually bragging about the fact that they are getting a lot of food. They're all quite overweight right now because they're stealing all the humanitarian aid. They're not feeding the hostages. We're going to show you an evidence of that. They're not feeding the rest of the Gazans, but they are loving life. Look at this. They got their bananas, meat, rice. They keep posting these videos. Mango. He's fat.
والبلح بلح يا ابو بهجت واليوم 5 لفات رز قدحت يا ابو بهجت وراحن عليك يا ابو خالد راحت عليك الخير كله كب علينا يا ابو خالد ان شاء الله يا اخوان ابو خالد حيقصر حيجيب لكم عام مبرومه يخلف على اللي جابوا خاصه.
Got their dates.
ويخلف على الاخ ابو بكر بعت لنا مانجا وبلح وموز الاخ ابو بكر وحلب من عند ام احمد.
Meanwhile, the same people have now published images and videos from more hostages that are still there. Specifically, we're talking about Aviatar David, who was kidnapped on the 7th of October. He's currently starving in the tunnels, as you can see. We're going to show you a before and after image. He was kidnapped at the Nova Music Festival. You can see the difference, what they've done to him. Now, they have also, Hamas, in a very brave way, stupid way, decided to publish a video of him where he's been forced to dig his own grave in the tunnel. We do have subtitles. Let's go.
מה שאני עושה עכשיו, חופר את הקבר. הקבר שמיועד מבחינתי לי.
Evil.
כי כל יום שעובר הגוף שלי הולך, נחלש, נהיה רזה יותר וחלש יותר. מבחינתי זה נראה שאני בדרך למוות שלי. חופר לעצמי את הקבר שבו אני אולי אשכב. ובאמת, כל יום שהולך ועובר, הזמן נגמר. הזמן הולך ואוזל.
He has no energy.
ורק אתם תוכלו לעצור את זה, כדי שנוכל לשכב במיטה שלי.
That's what he was told to say by Hamas. Evil creatures. As posted on X by Nua Berg, we can also see, she said, fat Gazan terrorists hands scraps to a starved Israeli hostage. Compare their arm sizes. Tell me more about who is suffering a famine, please. It's a very good point. We've seen that they're all well fed. They're all happy. And this is what they're doing to the hostages. Meanwhile, in the United Kingdom, the British terrorist supporters today were doing this.
It's probably stand up because the thing is, none of these understand economics, not a single one of them. They don't understand.
Self-hating British champagne socialists, the middle-class spoiled idiots. They were doing this on a day when British patriots were out protesting against illegal migrants committing crimes. The protest was about illegal migration. Somehow these guys still came out. On the day when Hamas were publishing videos of hostages like this, on this day, these self-hating white British middle classes were chanting Free Palestine. Nothing to do with the illegal migration. Now, there's been a lot of fake news as well when it comes to the humanitarian aid situation in Gaza. The media continue to fall for it. They are the propaganda arm of the Islamists and anybody who's basically anti-West. But we have more evidence. We have facts. You have to go and see what's going on. As we did to CTV a couple of months ago, we went to the Middle East to find out what is going on the ground. Colonel Richard Kemp, good friend of CCTV, also is inside Gaza, destroying the fake news. The Hamas obviously fueling the narrative. The gullible Western leftists continue to fall for this. Let's go to Richard Kemp and see what he had to say.
I'm Richard Kemp here at one of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation's distribution centres inside Gaza. You will have heard a lot of propaganda about violent attacks in and around the GHF sites here. It's all lies generated by Hamas in order to discredit the GHF. The Hamas hate the GHF because the GHF delivers aid directly into the hands of the Gazan people without being seized by Hamas and sold at a profit. Very many of the people behind me here have told me it's the first time they've ever received free aid. So don't believe the propaganda that's been churned out by Hamas and amplified by too much of the international and national media.
The truth is there. And they know it. The media knows this. They choose to lie. It's okay. Channels like 2CTV and others, we get more views than the mainstream media. You guys will help us, of course, hopefully, to share this for more people to actually find out the truth. Especially what they're doing to the hostages and the rest of Gazans. Meanwhile, Hamas continue to post more videos. They're all basically similar stuff that they've been posting for a while now. But it's still important for people to see the true face of these people. Believe them when they tell you their plan. Watch this with subtitles.
والله لو أخرجنا اليهود من فلسطين
Chase the Jews.
لو أخرجناهم من فلسطين
If they don't surrender,
أخرجناهم من بيت المقدس دون أن يسلموا ولو ذهبوا آخر العالم سنلاحقهم وسندعوهم إلى الإسلام وندعو بوجه الإسلام وندعو جميع النصارى للإسلام.
even Christians.
نعم نعم ديننا دين الرحمة.
نعم أنا أوصي
Islam is a religion of compassion, apparently.
الإخوة المجاهدين في سرايا القدس.
Yeah, go after the Jews.
يستمروا في عملهم المقاوم.
Yeah.
نحن لا نحب الحياة.
Do not love like life. They love death.
نحن الذين عمروا آخرتهم.
It's all about the afterlife for these people. They don't love life. They love death and misery. You can't reason with people who are built differently, who are wired differently in their brains. This is not just some sort of territorial dispute or some sort of basic difference in worldview. It's not even, for example, the clashes, cultural, historic clashes between the Kremlin leadership in Moscow and Ukraine. It's not even the same as South Korea and North Korea. This is a whole different situation. It's been going since the 7th century. It's not new. It's fascinating how the so-called grown-ups in the room, you know, the world governments, the international community, the United Nations, they are treating it as if, well, this is a complicated situation. How do we deal with this sort of crisis? Well, it's been happening for centuries. Ask people in Spain what they had to deal with for centuries until Islam was kicked out. Now, as I said, there is still ongoing protest in Tel Aviv as well by the political left and some of the hostages' families. Not all of them, obviously. We'll get back to that shortly. Let's get some reaction from the live chat first. God's best friend, thank you for your super chat, says, what is to monitor if they are all in Indonesia? It's about monitoring Gaza, the actual territory, not the people. It says, so are we still supporting a two-state solution? Well, you can't have a two-state solution while you still have jihadists. The problem is there has to eventually be a conversation about a solution, whether we like it or not, because it's now been decades and decades and decades. Even though the so-called Palestinian identity is a fabrication, it was fake, it was created in the 1960s, there was no such thing as Palestine before. It is now the case where a lot of people have now been born since those days, the new generation, who see themselves as Palestinian, right? There will have to eventually be, because you've got a couple of solutions. Number one, you can make the whole place Israel, right? Well, first things first, Gaza should be Israel. That's different. But let's just say the whole of Judea and Samaria, and even part of Jordan, become Israel. Let's just say that, hypothetically. There will be a problem. What's going to happen to those who have now been, the new generation who have now been born, believing the lie that is a Palestinian identity, right? They see themselves as Palestinian. They will never be able to see themselves as an Israeli citizen who happens to be an Arab Muslim. There are a lot of Arab Muslims who live in Israel, and they're the ones who decided to stay all those decades ago, and life is fine for them. If you could convince the big chunk of the so-called Palestinians to just calm down, you can still stay where you are. The only change will be the flag of the country will change, and we don't have a country now, and your government will change, but you can be living in the same area as a Muslim Arab. You will just be called an Israeli citizen because the land is Israel. If you could convince that, then fine. That's going to be very hard, which means if you're going to make the whole thing State of Israel, cool, which should be on the map. It should be. It should have been from the first day. What's going to happen to those people? What are you going to do with them? Are you going to kill them? Well, that's evil. Are you going to send them somewhere else? Where are you going to be sending them? Europe? North Africa? Some would say, well, no, but they all came from Egypt or Jordan. Yeah, their ancestors did. Their grandfathers. Their parents. Those who have now been born. It's the same argument that I have against the Islamists, the pro-Palestinians who say, from the river to the sea. Okay, let's just go with your argument. From the river to the sea. Let's just say, oh, a chunk of Polish Jews came to the Middle East, the Zionists. All right, obviously it's nonsense, that narrative. Let's just say, okay, Europeans came, took over, created Israel. You're talking about those who were there in the 40s, 1948. What about now? There have now been decades and decades, people who have been born in Israel, now children living in Israel, and some of them are Jews, some of them are atheists, some of them Christians, some of them Muslim. This from the river to the sea is also nonsense. You can't say dismantle Israel. Now there are people who were born there now, after decades and decades, who are Israeli. Well, it's not my fault I was born there. I'm Israeli. Done. So their point is, both sides, there has to be a point. Well, the Palestinian side will never get it because I'm completely psychotic. But the Israeli side and the Western side, they will have to. You can't say it now. You can't really go around promoting two-state solution because you're encouraging bad behavior. There cannot be any conversation of two-state solution now, not yet. Look at what Carney, Macron and Starmer have done, and other countries like Portugal. They are rewarding the 7th of October. You can't do that. Right now, say no to a two-state solution, but eventually there will have to be some sort of solution. There will have to be some sort of managed creation of a tiny, tiny Palestinian authority. Not with these guys. You have to clean up the whole thing. Because there has been a lot of people who, whether you like it or not, they're born there and they see themselves as Palestinian. These children. I'm not talking about the children who've been brainwashed to just be pro-Hamas. I'm talking, not Gaza, I'm talking about Judea and Samaria. It is a complicated situation. Unless you have a solution, what are you going to do with the so-called Palestinians, then fine. These videos and pictures should be on every news channel and newspapers. Spread it everywhere. I agree. It's just that they don't care. Also, we have some idiots saying, F the hostages. This is the level of evil you're dealing with. Evil. Super chat from Israel. Now, I'm not PC, but after triggering the wrong effing Jews with the Holocaust-like photos, not France, nor Canada, UK, or Allah will help them. This war is on. Yeah, and that's why those governments who go around saying, yeah, we need to now talk about the two-state solution now. Are you crazy? Don't do it. You're sending a message to every crazy person in the world. If you want to get what you want, if people say no, all you have to do is just do terrorism and then we'll give it to you. It's insane. The plan that President Trump and Netanyahu have makes more sense than the Europeans right now. Europeans and Carney. What is this? Palestinians officially demand to create a new apartheid Islamic state at the UN since 1947 and never accepted any peace deal with Israel since. Exactly. But that's the other thing, by the way. You can talk about two-state solution. You can talk about also what I said, some sort of solution eventually, not yet. The problem is, these guys never wanted a two-state solution. It's fascinating how there are other people across the world speaking on behalf of the so-called Palestinians. Say, well, we need to give them two-state solution. They don't want it. They keep saying no. They want one state, just Muslims. From the river to the sea, apartheid. But the Westerners, the Western leftists who are supporting this are the same people who are saying, we don't believe in flags or borders or states. But they do when it comes to Palestine. They believe in Palestinian border, Palestinian flag, Palestinian state. But the rest of the world, no flag, no state, no border. The mental gymnastic is insane. Anyway, you can't really have any sort of conversation with these idiots anyway. Let's quickly go to the members of 2C TV Plus to get some reaction. If you want to become a member and of course get more out of this channel to get access to news alerts, documentaries and everything else, download the 2C TV app today from your app stores, the home of geopolitical news. All right, now let's go to the members, see what they're talking about. Templar says there is a special place in hell for these people. Hamxs. That poor man digging his own grave is heartbreaking. If Trump goes into Gaza, imagine how mad the left and Antifa are going to be. I see mass protests across the Western countries. It will be juicy, let's just say. Unless they have a proper solution, they need to shut up and go away. Luke says, when the leading Arab nations tell Hamas to disarm and join peace talks with Israel. So it's quite fascinating. Obviously, the Arab League, or at least the grown-ups in the Arab League, the rich ones, that includes Bahrain, Saudi, UAE, and all these guys, Jordan, they don't want Hamas, right? But they are literally hiding behind Israel. They are using Israel and the IDF as a shield, as the bad guy, like good cop, bad cop, right? So Israel is doing the dirty work for them. Behind the scenes, Saudi Arabia, MBS, they're sitting there loving it, like go on IDF, destroy the weirdos. But they will never be able to directly come out and say the exact same thing, right? They are also forced, all of them, Saudi Arabia, UAE, they are also forced to keep saying, we need a two-state solution, we need a two-state, with some sort of Palestinian state. We know why. Because they want the Palestinians to stay there. They don't want them to just walk around the rest of the Middle East. So obviously it's in the interest of Saudi to also push for a Palestinian state. Not because they care about the Palestinian cause. They don't care. They've banned the Palestinian flags in Mecca. It's simply because they don't want trouble. And at this point, it's getting to a situation where there is a point that they're making. Because what are you going to do with them? You can't kill them. That's evil. You can't wipe out every single person who's Palestinian. That's not a solution. But not now. You cannot have any conversation about a two-state solution now because you're rewarding 7th of October. Wait for Hamas to be defeated. The US will have to take over. And then the Arabs could come in and sort it out themselves. Essentially, the only way is a demilitarized zone led by the Arabs. Jordan, Saudi, all those guys. This is the only solution. You can't make the whole thing Israel, because that's controversial, it's complicated. You can't make the whole place. Gaza, yes, you can make Gaza. I know it's controversial. You can and you should make Gaza Israel. The tiny southern parts, you could give it to Egypt. I don't think they want it. The rest should be Israel. But when it comes to Judea and Samaria, you can't make the whole thing Israel, even if you wanted. But if you want to prevent a Palestinian state, like I do, then you're going to have a coalition of Arabs, including Jordan, to be there. Just a non-country, a demilitarized zone. That's the only way, a buffer zone. If you want to live there, you can live there. The only people backing Hamas-led Palestine are Hamas, Iran, and the Western lefties now. Yep. Poor fell asleep watching topless goldfish. Don't know what that is. Testing something. You see Jews praying by the outer wall of the temple. Okay. Elisa says the Muslims living beside us, those who want to kill my family, cannot live beside us anymore. Been there, done that. It only makes us feel stupid for believing. Never again is now. Exactly. You can't just let them do whatever they want. They are right next to Israel. Now, there was a reason these guys didn't choose to stay in Israel, like the rest of the Arab Muslims who are Israeli. They started to fight, even their parents and grandparents, since the 40s, 50s, and 60s, because they will never be able to compromise. They could never see themselves as, I'm just going to live in the same house, same neighborhood. I would still be a Muslim Arab, but I will be as an Israeli citizen. They just can't see it. They can't fathom. It takes a special kind of scumbag to make a man dig his own grave while starving him, but eating like kings themselves. I know. It's also fascinating how the amount of aid that they have stolen, Hamas, and they've taken it to Gaza, to the tunnels. They're not very good at management. They are wasting so much of it. Like one person having so many bananas for no reason. How are you going to eat all that within a couple of days? You would think that because they're not all together. The tunnel networks has been split. There are small groups of Hamas militants in every chunk of the tunnel networks. And every picture and video we're getting, the amount of food that they have, that will last for weeks and weeks. But a lot of it will be expired. I'm not really sure if these people care about food getting expired. They're still probably going to eat it anyway. Judge Dredge. Someone is spamming. Ooh, we got a spammer. Where's a spam in the live chat? Is it a spammer or is it a troll? It's this one, isn't it? Israel was created by acts of terror against the British. Yeah, because the British Empire was being mental. There was a reason. Go read the history and see what the British did. But I can only see... okay, so he's also posted a similar thing, just a shorter version. So are you saying you're now against terror? You're against terrorism? Then why do you make excuses for the Islamists? Because they're doing terror. But when they do terror, it's fine, right? It's just freedom fighting. Terror is good because it's the only way. But when the Jews did it, allegedly, right? No, that's not fine. When the Muslims do it, it's fine. Yes, he is now spamming with this nonsense. Tusi, all you give is lie after lie after lie after... You're having a bit of a meltdown. Unfortunately, I don't have the expertise to be your therapist, but if you go on Google, I'm sure you could find a good therapist to help with your mental issues. Now, let's get to some super chats. After Saturday comes Sunday. Yep. Most folks in the West don't get what we are facing. Oh, metaphor. I thought it was just being literal. And Abel says, I want back to the 1980s before the wall fell. Well, Berlin. Oh, poor people in East Berlin. To see facts don't care about your fragile feelings. Wait, what? When did my feelings get fragile? What is wrong with these people? Ah. Also, it's good that the snowflakes are now stealing lines and narrative from the conservative side. It's working, guys. It's working. Shona says Jewish fast night cause for concern that there may be additional attacks, perhaps, but they don't really have the power anymore. I mean, you can see the absolute mess that Hamas have. They're all hiding. The rest of them have come out to surrender slowly. The leaders can't really command on the ground. Nobody knows what they're doing in terms of any capability to attack. So I don't think there's any threat really from Gaza, imminent threat. There could be a long-term threat if you allow them to exist, Hamas, but no imminent threats. You just worry about the rockets from Yemen. A couple of rockets from Houthis who can't even aim properly. Marina says, Israeli political right are cowards who do not serve in the army and don't pay taxes. Well, that's mostly the ultra-Orthodox. Israeli center and left are the people who study, work, pay taxes, and serve in the army. This is absolutely fascinatingly biased. Love it. The Israelis watching, I would love to hear from the right-wingers who could counter what Marina said. It's the same argument that I literally made it earlier in the previous live stream. I said there was a lot of people who basically generalized everybody from everywhere, right? So Marina basically says everybody who is right-wing in Israel is this, and everybody who is left-wing in Israel is this. It's like when I said, some people say everybody from Britain is this. Like you meet a couple of leftists in Britain with purple hair, and you be like, every person in Britain has got purple hair. Or you see someone from Japan saying something, well, that means everybody from Japan says, no, it doesn't. Like they literally got different type of people and different mentalities. Not everybody is the same. Even not all leftists are the same, and not all right-wingers are the same. They will still disagree with each other. It doesn't work that way. Anyway, also a lot of the lovely people I met in the IDF are actually very conservative. All right, we got another spammer. He could go away. There we go. That says Marina is wrong. Yeah, where are the Israelis? Give me, there you go. We got a right winger saying I was in the border police for 5 years. Well, that means you're left wing now. You can't be a right wing Israeli. Ruben says to Marina, did you go to school? Yeah, not everybody's the same. It doesn't work that way. Yakov says, Marina, I am an Israeli and align more with the political right, and I served in the IDF and pay my taxes. What the hell are you talking about? Yes, it's not the same as before. All right, what else? And what? Now he's saying, I was saying you tell facts. Jeez. Yeah, but your previous comment says, 2C, facts don't care about your fragile feelings. That makes no sense. The first comment says 2C, facts don't care about your feelings. Then you say, I was saying you tell facts. That, maybe there's an issue with grammar. I don't know, with the sentence, punctuation, I don't know. So if that is what you meant, then thank you for clarifying. That makes more sense. But the first comment made no sense. The bell says, yes, I lost my West Germany, the wealthy one. That's true. To be fair, one of the biggest issues that I have had with Angela Merkel and her mentality was she could say, oh, well, CDU, I'm centre right, I'm basically conservative. The problem is, Angela, your upbringing was still in East Germany. You're a collectivist, and look what Merkel did. Yeah, she could be centre right, but she will never be a non-collectivist, and that's why Germany is in a mess. Partly, not just because of Merkel. Many others, like Merkel, did this. Blackfish Blues says, what is this? Free Valentines. Sorry, Maya. Lefroy does not rhyme. Amazing. Anyway, 70% of the fallen are deep right. Deep right. I like the phrase deep right. Call me a deep righter, not a far right. Maya, the UK sunk. Yeah, a little bit. Someone is screaming in the live chat, you are from Earth. How do you know? You just assume my identity. You live on and in Earth. In Earth? That will be hot. That flag makes you a divided race. Which flag? We got two. And ironically, having two means it can't be divisive. It's literally unifying. I don't know how to respond to that person. What if I'm from Mars? How dare you assume I'm from Earth? Also, I don't think you can live in Earth. That's not practical. I mean, actually, technically, Hamas live in Earth because they live in tunnels. There we go. He's corrected. 2C facts. Yeah, do you need punctuation after? Put it in quotation marks. Just one. Don't care about your fees. Guys, grammar and punctuation really matter. Otherwise, for the English language, if you put the wrong comma, the wrong place, or don't put the comma there, the whole meaning of the sentence will change. Sandra says, remember people to say it loud and say it clear. Say it everywhere. Bless the IDF. Absolutely. God. What a crazy... Oh, forgot about the members. Also, is there an update from Tel Aviv? No, they're still fine. All right, let's quickly go back here. Okay, the last one was the spamming comment. That's fine. God, screaming in the live chat. What's this? Michelle says, sorry for sounding ignorant, but why don't they just call those children Palestinian Israelites? That will be the practical thing to do. Yeah. Throughout history, and even the last few years, the last few decades, there have been a number of territories that changed borders and changed flags and names. I mean, look at Eastern Europe, right? Many other places. People get used to the change. You can still live in your home. You can still live in your neighborhood. As long as the new country, the new territory is not really a dictatorship, as long as it's a good country, freedom, democracy, then just live your life. Things change. A lot of, I mean, exactly. I asked that person earlier who was from West Germany, right? Libel, right? Libel said, oh, I missed the days when we were in West Germany. A lot of people, like Libel and her parents and everybody, they were West Germany, and then they eventually became Germany. Obviously, a lot of them are not happy about that. But you get on with life. Some people were in East Germany. They got used to that, and East Germany went away, and it just became German. The whole flag changed, the whole border territory changed. They still lived in their house. In fact, those who were in East Germany, they got more out of it because their place became more prosperous. It was actually West Germany who kind of lost a little bit more. But it happens. So what Michelle says, that should be the solution. The problem here that you're dealing with the so-called Palestinians. They're wired differently. They've been told to think differently, especially since the 40s and 60s. A lot of them cannot see themselves, still live in that house, still call themselves Palestinian, whatever, I don't care what you call yourself, but be under the flag of Israel. They just can't. It's pure anti-Jewish hate. They just can't. Now, Henry says, you are so far ahead of any other newscaster in the world, TC, and the second best is far behind you, The Enforcer. Is that a name of a channel? The Enforcer, that sounds like a superhero. Who's The Enforcer? Somebody tell me. I want to know. But thank you. Although I can't take full credit because the main title of the live stream, the main point that we mentioned initially, which is the final ultimatum, and Trump and Bibi getting ready for Gaza, that's already been confirmed and reported by Channel 12. So they've already confirmed this. So technically speaking, at least one mainstream channel has reported this, but only in Israel. US, UK media, nope, they're not reporting any of this. They're definitely not reporting on what I showed you with evidence, the Hamas militants who are slowly starting to surrender because they've realized they don't really have a leadership. Like, not properly. They're running out. And I have a feeling some of these Hamas militants who have surrendered, I have a feeling, because those who are stealing the humanitarian aid, they might also be so greedy they're not sharing it with the other Hamas terrorists. So I think some of them might be the ones who have run out of food. So they're in the wrong tunnel, probably. That's why they had no other choice. Libel says, the thing is to see the situation we are in now started with Berlin. Then came in the Balkan Wars. The rest started when the Soviet Union dissolved itself. Yeah, primarily true. But again, most of it was the mishandling of this so-called New World Order since the 40s and 50s. Everything could have been prevented, including the divide in Germany. If they had moved quickly against the Soviet, they could have prevented it. But yes, after decades of Cold War, the fallout could actually be seen more in the West than in Russia. Now, Russia also had its own challenges, especially in the 90s. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to download the 2C TV app, the home of geopolitical news, to get access to our documentaries, our news alerts, the live shows, and the chat forum, and much more. And also, today and tomorrow is the final day you can actually get your tickets to join our new media conference. That's not it. That's the 2CV Plus, the new media conference. Just go on 2cevents.tv. On the 9th of August, we are gathering new media outlets and freedom fighters from all around the world. They are coming to London. They are joining us for a new media rally against the mainstream media. We are having Apostle Prophet, Red Van. We are having Stefan Thompson from Visegrad 24, Emily Schrader from Israel, Carl Benjamin from Lotus Eaters, and many, many, many others coming. Andy No from the Post Millennial. Make sure to get your tickets now because it's running out. We only have a few left. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.